Hello and welcome to WGTC Radio, the official podcast of entertainment website We Got This Covered. I'm Jonathan Lack.
And I am Sean Chapman.
And we are here to talk about video game stuff this week.
Yes, we are.
Yes. So, if you don't know, next week, February 20th, Sony is set to announce something. Everyone's assuming it's the PlayStation 4.
If it's not the PlayStation 4, Sony's going to... That will be like the biggest disappointment, like the biggest waste of like a conference of all time.
Yeah, they'll be announcing Little Big Planet 3.
Yeah, it's like, it would be like if Apple was something really big's going to happen. Everyone's like, oh, it's the iPhone 6, and it's like some like really incremental upgrade to the software. It's like,
Yeah. We fixed maps.
Yeah, woo!
So, we'll be learning about the PS4 next week, which means the next generation season is upon us.
Yes, at last. It's been a long fucking time coming.
I know, and, Sean and I have been planning, we've been holding this episode you're going to hear now in our back pocket, this topic, because we knew we're going to be hearing announcements about the next generation consoles eventually, and we have thoughts on what we would like out of those consoles.
Yeah, and then also, I imagine, thoughts on what we actually expect those consoles to be.
Right, so predictions and things like that. So we wanted to do an episode before all the announcements come out of what do we want, what do we predict, all those sorts of things. And we assumed we would hold it till June and like the week before E3.
Yeah.
But clearly all of this is going to be announced before E3.
Yeah. It's obvious Sony's going to announce the PS4. We don't know how much is going to be out after they actually announce it, like about the machine itself. But once the cat's out of the bag, then Microsoft's obviously going to want to follow up suit as soon as possible.
Yes. So I assume E3 will still hear some significant stuff. I assume maybe we'll get pricing at E3, those sorts of things.
Yeah, and like a lot of the games and stuff will probably be shown at E3.
Right. But we'll get the basic announcements. We'll find out what these consoles are before then.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd just do the episode now. No time like the present on that one, I think.
Yeah.
And
if we don't do it now, we would never get the opportunity to do it.
Right.
Because next time we record the next podcast, we will know about the PS4.
Yeah, and that will probably be the topic of the next podcast. So, and it's kind of a good thing that we've been playing a lot of PlayStation stuff lately, so we can be informed on both sides of this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Then good thing the Wii U came out and flopped, and we never have to talk about it again, so, because we don't play that anymore. Anyway.
Poor Wii U.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for Shin Megami Tensei Crossfire Emblem. It's like now all of a sudden the Wii U, that'll like revive it.
Very much so. But first, there was an actual announcement today that they were recording this podcast. Yesterday, when you hear this, because we record this on Sunday, comes out on Monday, but today, Bungie announced their new game, Destiny. Well, they'd already announced that they were making it.
Yeah,
and
we've known that for a while.
But we knew nothing about it.
And we still mostly know nothing about it, but...
We know what kind of game it is, sort of. It's not really like anything else. So explain what we learned today, Sean.
Well, okay, this is going to be kind of hard, but I think let's start with, like, what they announced today is very, very weird, where, everyone knows that Bungie has been working on something since Halo Reach, like, even obviously before that, they were in pre-planning stages, they got their, like, independence from Microsoft, Activision has, like, a 10-year publishing deal with them, so Activision will be publishing this game, presumably it's going to be cross-platform for the Xbox 360 and PS3, and obviously it's going to be on the new consoles as well. I think that's part of the reason why we had, like, this announcement is so strange, is because since those consoles have not been announced, I don't think Bungie can show a lot of what they're actually doing with, like, the actual gameplay footage.
Right, because, I would say for me, like, when I play Destiny, I will not want to play it on a current-gen console.
Yeah. It's, like, obvious by the time frame of when this is going to come out that it's going to be on the next-gen consoles as well, but they have announced that it's going to be on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, so it's going to be...
No one's getting left out.
Yeah, it's going to be just one of those really weird, awkward bridging titles that will...
Where one version looks kind of shitty in comparison to the other.
Yeah, one of them's, like, really sort of dialed back. But anyways, as to what they've announced about what the actual game is, which again is really sparse and kind of confusing, they've released, like, they had a press meeting where they brought a lot of people to the Bungie studio, and they just, like, from what all the videos I've seen of people talking about those meetings and, like, the articles they've written, is that Bungie just basically sat them down and told them a lot about their process in making the game, some of the technology behind it, and a lot of promises about what they want the game to be, but without showing them almost any footage whatsoever. And if you want to see the little footage that they did show you, or show the press, Bungie released a Vidoc today that basically it's like 5 minutes long, and it talks a little bit about what they're doing with the game, and it has like 5 seconds of in-game footage.
Okay.
That looks really nice. It's like a dude walking up some stairs, and there's some nice lighting, but...
Other than that, I know we got some concept art. It's basically...
Yeah, no, there's a lot of concept art out there that had gotten leaked.
Right.
Along with the basic premise about 2 months ago. But so what we know about the game, what I've been able to cobble together from like what I've spent most of the day doing, which is just looking at all the different information I can about this because this announcement is so weird, is that this game Destiny is going to be a first-person shooter, but not a like traditional version of a first-person shooter. It's going to have you will have to constantly be online to play it, but it's not necessarily an MMO. It's sort of like, it seems like they're trying to making an MMO hybrid, sort of incorporating the same type of co-op that's in Journey.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. It sounds a little bit like that in Journey, where you do not have to team up with other people, but if you find them along the way, it would be advantageous to do so.
But so, you're not, or at least I assume you're not going to be like, signing up on a server like you would with an MMO. There's not going to be like this stable, like, 10,000 person population on this one server. Like, you won't be running into those people over and over and over again. But there'll be like means for you to play with all of your friends and like bring them into your world, but then it'll also seamlessly drop people in and out of your world as you're just playing the game. So it's not going to be like there's just the 10,000 people. It's like there's how many like millions of people have bought the new Bungie game, and just like seamlessly while you're out on Mars fucking around, like some random dude just like spawns into your world and cruises by you on a hover bike completely seamlessly. You would never see that, or at least that's the hope, that you would never be cognizant of the fact that these are just completely different people like dropping in and out of your worlds constantly, and that you feel like it is this one sort of persistent world. That seems to be what they want to go for, which is really, it sounds like a really ambitious idea, and it sounds really, really cool. Like, if you listen to the podcast where I talked about Journey, that was the thing that made Journey really awesome, was you just run into random people on your journey going to the mountain, and you just like to have this like the most simplest means of interacting with them, and it's just like this really simple, natural, organic form of co-op. And I think it would be really amazing to see that in a first-person shooter. So that's like that basic concept is really fucking cool.
And if anyone can do it right, it's Bungie. I mean, they are responsible for modern online gaming on consoles.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another point to make, is that they have not said anything about a PC version, and I would imagine this will. My bet is on this is going to be a console only game. I don't think Bungie's going to.
Well, they specifically
been in the console world for a while now.
Right. IGN did report that they specifically said that this is a console shooter, and they were very careful to word it that way.
Yeah.
So.
But it's not like they have outright said that there is no PC version or something like that.
Yeah.
But it does, like, a lot of the comments like suggest that there's not going to be one. They may be like leaving the possibility open for the future. I know like Activision probably has some say in whether or not there would be a PC version.
Yeah.
But that's like, as far as gameplay goes, that is literally all we know.
Right.
Is that it is a first-person shooter, and there is this like sort of weird element of online co-op, and that you do have to be connected always to play it online. They have said a lot of that it's like you don't like necessarily need to be like, you don't necessarily have to get a group of like 4 friends that you play with constantly to get like the most out of the game. And if you're just playing by yourself, they've said that would be fine. That's like they intentionally designed the game that way. But again, we've seen
nothing.
Yeah, but like nothing of the gameplay. Like the only in-game footage we have seen again is a dude walking up some stairs and like looking at a sun, and it looked really pretty. But yeah. But the more, like, to me, what's more interesting about that, or like what you can take away more from what they have actually shown, is not the gameplay stuff. Because if you want to take that away, you have to have a lot of faith that they'll actually be able to deliver on all the promises they make. But there's a lot of concept art. There's like some pieces of music that they play during the Vidoc, and all of that stuff looks phenomenal to me. And there's like the whole setup for the game, I think, is really interesting. That it's like proper post-apocalypse, where aliens have like some sort of alien species that's attacked the Earth and like devastated mankind. But there's like one city left that's sitting under this like mysterious alien like giant fucking sphere called the Traveler that has just shown up on Earth, and I think somehow that like helped humanity fight off the alien invaders because it gave some people powers, and so now humanity's trying to like reclaim the solar system. And like I like the idea that it is this post-apocalyptic setting, but it's actually post-apocalyptic. Like the effective apocalypse happened, humanity was almost wiped out, but now we are coming back from it. It's not like this like zombie type setting where it's like we're fucked, there's no hope, everything is ruined, everything will always be ruined.
That's very true. The term post-apocalyptic is usually misused.
Yeah.
They usually just mean apocalyptic.
Yeah.
The apocalypse is not like a secondary event.
Or if they call it post-apocalyptic, it tends to be like set a minute after the apocalypse happens. You know? Like the apocalypse is the zombies have become zombies and have like ravaged mankind, and then it's like set like a month after that or something, and just like there's no hope of anything happening. It seems like this is set, years and years and years after humanity has been almost wiped out, and they are now getting back on their feet in the universe. But there are also, like there are like lost ruins on Mars that humanity once had control over has now been like invaded by other aliens and stuff like that. They're occupying it, so it seems like their new sci-fi setting seems really interesting and has a lot of area to grow, and all their concept art has a really great look to it. It's you can definitely see a lot of roots of what they did with like Halo in there, but it's not just Halo again.
Right.
Like it definitely has its own design and feel to it.
That's kind of what the feel I get out of all their announcements today, in that, we don't know a lot about it, but it definitely feels like the natural next step for Bungie of sort of taking all the stuff they did on Halo in terms of sort of, not the story, but some of the stylistic elements, and kind of blowing it up and rebuilding all of that in a new and interesting and much bigger way.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else to say about Destiny so far?
I mean, not really. It's cool to see, I don't know, Bungie being back out there in the game when they have been quiet for like 3 or 4 years now, basically, ever since Halo Reach launched.
You kind of forget they're still out there.
Yeah, and that it's also basically the project lead for Halo 1 and Halo 2, Jason Jones. He's a guy who does not, like, from Bungie, does not, like, sort of get out in the spotlight a lot, but today he was, like, one of the main people behind this announcement. Like, he's in that Vidoc. It's just cool to see that guy out there talking about making games again, because he was sort of out of the picture since Halo 3. Which
would indicate to me that he's probably pretty proud of what they're doing.
Yeah, awesome. It seems like this is what Jason Jones has been wanting to do, because if you look into the history behind what happened when they were making Halo 2, it's sort of like a lot of their production difficulties, Jason Jones was really frustrated about that process. And it's like, I really got the sense of looking a lot of their documentaries at the time that he didn't necessarily want to keep on making Halo games. And so it seems like this is what he wanted to do after that, and now sort of like the technology has caught up to the point where they can do this, because it's an incredibly ambitious project if they pull it off.
Yeah, definitely. And I am very excited to play it when it finally comes out.
Yep. I'm excited to see. Like, the weirdest thing about this announcement is that you would expect that we would get a trailer. We didn't get a trailer. We got, and I really like the Bungie Vidocs. They've been doing those since Halo 3, and they're really cool. But, like, Halo 3 did not, like, get announced by a Vidoc showing, like, the people making Halo 3 talking about making Halo 3. It was a really awesome trailer of, like, Master Chief walking through the dust and discovering an ancient alien artifact.
Right.
I kind of wish we had gotten something like that. Like,
I kind of agree.
Like, it's such a strange announcement, because it's cool for me because I'm a huge fan of Bungie, and I've sort of, like, been in on that side. Like, I know a lot of the names of the head people behind Bungie. I listened when they did their podcast. I listened to a bunch of their podcasts back when they did in, like, 2007. So it's really cool for me. But when I look at it from, like, a broad marketing perspective, it's really bizarre. Because I think you just, like, because it's such a cool idea and it has such a strong visual and, like, musical design behind it that, like, it could just, without even showing any gameplay stuff, it could nail a really cool trailer.
And so I guess that's my question, is I assume they're saving it for another moment. So why did they do this now, today? Why this time?
I don't know. I think there's something weird going on with, it feels like maybe they thought that everybody would know about the next Xbox at this point. Like, there's this weird sense that there was going to be more to this announcement, but something happened and there isn't. Like, I don't know. It's really bizarre. Like, I get a feeling that, like, Microsoft was somehow going to be involved in this announcement in a bigger way with the next Xbox, and then they maybe pushed it back or something. I have no idea.
But this is not a console exclusive title, so.
Well, yeah, but Sony has not announced the PS4 either.
Right. So, yeah, it's interesting. And it's almost like it being so close to the PS4 announcement is a little weird.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'm interested to see what their next step is from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, it would be kind of crazy if at this PS4 announcement that was one of the things that was shown off, was that they had Destiny, like, running on the machine or something like that.
And that was what I was going to say. Is there any possibility that they did it now because they actually wanted to precede the console announcements? That seems really weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know because again, this is not a Microsoft title. Like, they don't gain anything from trying to, like, undercut Sony or something like that.
Right. But, I was just wondering if they wanted to lay some groundwork, and then, what if that is a possibility?
Yeah.
That's
it would be a pretty cool move on Sony's part, because, Bungie is historically, since the Halo 1 made games for Microsoft machines,
that would kind of
like defined the Xbox. It would be a sort of a killing blow, I think, if Sony brought out like, hey, here's the new Bungie game.
That would be kind of throwing down the gauntlet, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's as good a time as any to transition into our discussion. PS4 is going to be announced on the 20th, and the Xbox presumably a couple weeks, months after. So I guess on a very basic level, Sean, do you want to explain sort of why we need new consoles now? I think that's probably where we have to start this discussion, right?
Okay. Yeah, that is a good point. Well, this has been by far the longest console cycle of like sort of modern gaming. It's been going on for 7-8 years now. The Xbox 360 was 2005.
Yep, and then everything else was 2006.
So yeah, it's been going on for a long fucking time, and like technology did not stop at that point. This is definitely, if you play PC games, you are feeling this long console cycle more than anybody else because, PC technology is iterative. Like, it keeps on going. Like, you can get, like, a new graphics card every other month. And, like, that'll keep on getting better and better and better. So right now, top-end gaming PCs can run games that are significant. Top-end gaming PCs right now can run games that would presumably can run them better than an Xbox 720 or PS4 would when they're announced. Like, I can assure you, there are people out there with machines that are more powerful than the new consoles we are going to hear about. And so, like, right now, like, you could theoretically make games for PCs that would be fucking amazing. That would be graphically unparalleled. That can do a lot more in terms of, like, draw distance, like, the number of characters that are on screen, like,
just simple going to 1080p.
Yeah, exactly. You can do so much more with the new technology, but sort of with the economic downturn and sort of the advent of like everything going online with consoles and sort of extending the lifespan out that way, because now the Xbox 360 has Netflix and like all these machines have become media hubs. They don't just play games, and so that lifespan has gotten just protracted to the point where we need something new because we need to. Like gaming is starting to get kind of stale. I think it's really clear that a game like Halo 4 pushed the Xbox 360 to its absolute limits. We talked graphics.
Yeah, and we talked about this last week. As good as Halo 4 looks, it's still running at 30 frames per second.
Yeah,
which definitely is, imagine what that game could be if it was running at 60. It cannot physically run at that speed because the Xbox 360 cannot support that.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be really nice when you can play a game on the console that runs at 60 frames per second again. That will be hopefully that they decide. Yeah, no, fuck it. Like let's go back to that. But yeah, definitely we need new consoles. The technology is there to get new consoles out there. I think the market is pretty much ready. So I think if they don't jump on this, now, it would be like there will never be new consoles again. Like
that's very true. And it's interesting. I think obviously we already sort of went to the next generation, although Wii U, like the Wii before it existed, in this weird middle ground.
Yeah, like I don't even really count the Wii as being a current generation machine. Like it doesn't technologically, it's nowhere near on par with the Xbox 360 or the PS3. Like it's not even close. And the Wii U is basically on par with the 360 and PS3. Might be a little bit more powerful,
but stressing a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So
like it theoretically can, but they haven't put anything out that tests that yet.
Yeah, like the most the intensive games they put out on the Wii U are ports of 360 and PS3 games, which mostly run poorly on the Wii U because they're ports and nobody optimizes the games to run on that console.
Yeah, I mean it's a problem. I mean the Wii made absolutely no graphical jump from the GameCube.
Oh, yeah,
it was the same thing with a different optical disc and control scheme.
Yeah,
and that was pretty much it. And so. Yeah, so the Wii, I mean, we will not, that's really not, when we talk about current generation consoles, I thought we should get that out of the way. That's not what we're talking about, because Nintendo has just taken a different path.
Yeah, Nintendo's just in a weird world all on its own, where they make their games on their consoles, and they get by on that, but it's not something that really affects the PC, 360, and PS3 market. They're completely different at this point.
Right.
They've been different for a long time now.
Yeah. So... Going back, so we're really just talking about the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 moving on to their next iterations.
Yeah, whatever they may be called.
Right. I mean, I assume PS3 will become PS4.
Probably,
that seems, I don't know why they would break that now. It's a good... I've always liked that. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy.
They should call it, the Play Box or something like that. Undercut Microsoft. They come out with the X Station.
X Station? That'd be hilarious. But comparing the two consoles, I think it's clear the Xbox 360 especially needs this more than the PS3.
Yeah.
Because it's been around a year longer. It doesn't have a Blu-ray drive, which is a significant thing now because if you look at every fucking 360 game last year was on 2 or more discs.
Yeah, like the significant ones, like Max Payne 3 was on 2 discs, Mass Effect 2, then Mass Effect 3 were on 2 discs, like fucking Halo 4 has 2 discs because you have to download the multiplayer component.
And all of those, I guarantee you, they could have put on more than that if they wanted to. I mean,
yeah.
They could have, maxed up everything about it. And
God, like L.A. Noire, I think was 3 or 4 discs.
3 for the original and then 4 for the special edition version. So yeah, I mean, 360 is having trouble in that area, and obviously it's not as graphically powerful as the PS3. So it feels it's a little interesting. Like I definitely feel the need for a new Xbox. Don't feel it quite as strongly for a PS4, but I know that once we hit,
the PS3 is more powerful than the 360, but it's pretty marginal.
I'm just saying this is sort of a perception thing. I agree, it's a pretty marginal, and when we hear the PS4 announcement, I'm sure it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to hear what they can do, because PlayStation has always been, in America, the most cutting edge for the consoles. And I think, the PS3 wowed everyone back when it came out. Still, the graphics on some of those games, like Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, when they make, PS3 exclusive games look way better than 360 exclusive games.
Yeah,
they have for a long time now.
Right. So it's pretty cool. And I think I'm excited to hear about both of them. Obviously, I think, PS3, it's most of the changes, I think, to the PS4 sound like they're going to be internal changes. And the 360 is going to have a few more external things because they're going to have to put on a Blu-ray drive.
Yeah.
They're going to have to put on, they're presumably going to do more Kinect stuff, all these things. But which console do you sort of... well, let's not even go there. What sort of do you want out of next-generation consoles? Sort of as just like, if you were going to go buy a next-generation console tomorrow, what do you want it to do?
I mean, like, basically, I just want it to be an Xbox 360 that has much better specs than what the Xbox 360 has. It's like, I want to buy what's effectively as powerful as a gaming PC, but that has the convenience that a console provides. Like, that's kind of what I've always wanted. But, like, my dream would be that the Xbox 360 controller still works on the next Xbox, because there's, like, nowhere you can go with that. Like, my dream would be the next PlayStation, even though we basically know what the next PlayStation controller is going to look like. It actually looks kind of nice. It's like, I just want one where my thumbs don't touch on the fucking thumbsticks if I'm, like, looking left and going right, Like, that's just all I want. I don't necessarily want anything really fancy. I just want, like, better technology so that we can have better-looking games that can do more mechanically with, like, the amount of things you can draw on screen. Like, I want to see what is going to be... Like, I remember when Xbox 360 got announced for the first time, that the first game I played on the Xbox 360 where I realized, like, this is what we needed a new console for, was Dead Rising. Because Dead Rising, if you don't know, is a zombie game, and the number of zombies that they have on screen at the same time was fucking mind-boggling, because you could never do that on an Xbox or PS2. It would be just like fucking a sea of zombies as far as your eye could see, and that was like... This is something like you could not have made Dead Rising at all on the old consoles. They tried to make a Wii version. It's like 2 or 3 years after Dead Rising 1 came out. Shit, because there were like 12 zombies on screen at any given time, completely ruins the game. So I'm like excited to see what is going to be the Dead Rising that's going to be like, you could not have done this mechanically without this technology behind it. Like, hopefully it'll be something that has like utilizes far more complex physics, where it's like the ability to pick out detail in much greater detail because of the enhanced graphics, like do something mechanically with that. And then obviously still just like having a better draw distance and being able to animate more things on screen at one time is huge in gaming. Like, it's something that you don't usually think about, but if you go back and play an Xbox One game, there's never more than like 6 to 10 like things on a screen at a time in most games.
Yeah, and I think, we all had that moment when we played a next-generation console for the first time of, holy shit, this is what we can do now. I remember, actually, as silly as this is going to sound, the first HD game I got to play was the really shitty Sonic the Hedgehog 06 game on the 360.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that.
I know. But even...
Oh, man, that game is a piece... That might be the worst game I've ever played, other than Black Ops Declassified. At least Sonic 06 didn't make me sick, but...
Yeah. But
it's a bad game.
It was for the time, I just remember putting that in and feeling like, oh my god, even this piece of shit looks gorgeous through HD gaming. Now, if I went back and looked at it now, I'm sure it would be nothing special.
It looks awful.
Okay.
It is not a good-looking game.
But
it's also a game... It's like, I thought you were going to say when you played it, you're like... Dude, with this next generation, we can get back the load times that we had back in the PlayStation 1 days.
I'm not saying it was a bastion. I'm just saying even something as shitty as that game, I just remember the grains of sand on the beach was something you couldn't ever do before. And so I think there's just these are two, I'm trying to present opposite ends of the spectrum, just that no matter what, a technical upgrade upgrades everything.
Even the worst piece of shit looks better if you've got better technology running it.
That's my only point. That game
I was just saying, it's like, I just don't want to talk about Sonic 06, I guess is where I'm coming from, because I really hate that game.
I hate that game too! All it is load times! That's all it is!
It really is. It is, you get into a conversation, it's like when you go to get into a conversation, it loads. When you have, like, the 5-second conversation, then it loads, and you play a 5-second mission, and then it fucking loads, then you have another conversation, and then it fucking loads again.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I fucking hate that game. Why are we talking about Sonic 06? Fuck that, let's talk about the consoles.
Okay. Now, you explained what you wanted out of the next generation consoles. I think that's pretty spot on. Yeah. That's what I agree with. It's just mainly, I think, my expectations are pretty modest, too. I just want it to be technologically superior. And superior to anything else you can go out and get easily today. Because that's what consoles are about, convenience. And for me, I agree with you there. I want the 360 the controller not to change much. And I want to make sure they support previous accessories, the 360 controllers.
And this is another thing I forgot. Fucking backwards compatibility.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's
actually always kind of my number one thing on consoles, because if I'm going to invest in another one, I have a huge 360 library. Yeah. I have a pretty decent PS3 library now because I've got PlayStation Plus. I want to be able to play all those games, and there's no reason you shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't want to have to keep up like my old console plugged into the TV to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Backwards compatibility is, I think, it goes beyond just being essential in this day and age. It's just automatic. Like, that's just something we should assume and want. And I hope neither Sony or Microsoft are fucking idiots and takes that out.
It's like that's a very troubling thing, because like I really hope it doesn't happen, but it might. Like, I definitely recognize that is not something that they will automatically put in.
Yeah.
There's no backward, or they took out the backwards compatibility for the PS2 from the PS3 after the fact.
Yeah, and to be fair, we are in a different scenario there, because part of why Sony did that is the PS2 was still selling like hotcakes, and they realized, okay, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, guys, and we need to get this out. Now, was that a dick move? Yes. Was it a financially intelligent move? Yeah. It made them some money. Now, I don't think the PS3 is at that point. It is selling quite well, so is the 360. I don't think either of them... the PS2's success is still unprecedented, and I don't think that would be a motivating factor this time around, especially because I think that pissed off so much of the PS3 fan base. I think they will want to appease those people.
Maybe. I don't know.
I would hope.
It's Sony.
I know.
I like a lot of their products, but a lot of the stuff that company has been doing for a while is pretty dumb.
Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, then again, when we go over to the 360, I also would like, in my dream ideal world, 360 to get back to gaming and deprioritize all the other stupid shit they've been doing. Yeah. Because I love playing games on the 360 because I like the controller, and I like some of the exclusives because I'm a big Halo fan, for instance. And I've been playing that since it came out, a little bit after it came out. I got mine in 2006, so I'm just used to that. But I really have not liked any of the updates they've almost ever done to the Xbox. I really hate the current firmware. I hate the focus on Kinect. I hate the Kinect itself. I think using the Xbox menus and everything is extremely clunky. So there's a lot of those elements, and I would like them to deprioritize that, or ideally, I'd like them to just clean it up. I'd like to be able, like, when we see what the 720 is running, I'd like it to be nicer than what it is now, and I've seen Windows 8, and I think that's clunky and stupid, so I assume this will just be running a version of Windows 8.
Yeah, it'll probably they'll use a similar Metro-style interface is my prediction.
Yeah,
so all of a sudden we're going to get, like, next-generation Blade interface, like, bring that back from the dead.
But, so I don't have high hopes for any of that, but, I really like how the PS3 organizes stuff, for instance, and I think Sony has that pretty locked down in how they organize those things.
Yeah.
But, and in terms of, like, desires and predictions, I think we heard a pretty cool rumor the other day about the PS4 where it may stream games. That might be a service they have, and that may be like a kind of rental kind of thing. Like, instead of literally going out and renting physical games, you could just play it streaming if you want to. And I'm thinking that what would be really cool is if they added something like that onto PlayStation Plus for the next generation. That would be a really great way to get current people who have PlayStation Plus, like their PlayStation, to jump on board for PS4.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's an interesting, because I saw those rumors too, and it is an interesting idea. It is something that OnLive. I don't even know if OnLive is still going. I know it ran into some troubles really recently, but it was like an independent company who has had this streaming service for the PC that you could stream games, and so you didn't necessarily have to have this like really powerful PC. You just had to be really lucky to be located near one of their streaming services and have a really good connection, or else the game would be really laggy. And so I think Sony, or if Microsoft was doing something similar, would have better capabilities to do something like that, but it's an interesting idea. Like, there are certainly some types of games that you just simply would not be able to play with that type of lag. I think most first-person shooters would not work out that well. Fighting games, there's absolutely no way you'd be able to play a fighting game like that. But
no. But then again, the PS3, their exclusives are different than those kinds of games, usually. So, and I know that they actually bought a streaming service a couple of years ago that specializes in this kind of thing, and they are assumably integrating that.
Yeah.
But
it'll be interesting to see if that's actually the case and how well that'll work out, because I know a lot of people thought that OnLive thing was pretty... I mean, I used it for a little bit at one point because there was like just a free trial, and it was kind of cool, but it was really apparent at every given second that you were streaming a video game and not playing it off of your PC natively.
Right. And, eventually that will not be a concern, but we're talking like 10, 20 years down the road.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think we're like quite there to that where that would be... I don't think... I might be wrong about this, but I don't think streaming video games to your console is like where we're not at that point yet.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. I'm just saying as an additional thing they may have.
Yeah.
That might be kind of interesting. Like, for instance, the PlayStation Plus, one of the perks is you can play 1 hour down, like 1 hour trials of any game, and you have the full game for 1 hour.
Yeah.
That would be very easy for them to turn that into a streaming kind of thing if they are looking
That's how
for that.
OnLive did that too, where it's like you could just demo any game, and demoing that game was just like you have like 30 minutes to play, asshole.
Yeah.
It's like, hopefully you didn't pick something that has a really long cutscene at the beginning.
Yeah. So, in any case, I think, there's some interesting options here. I guess the other thing I would love to see, and I don't know if we will, I would like to see day and date all games, digital and disc.
Yeah, I think that is something that's very possible.
I think it's
something I basically expect them to do.
I definitely expect it on Sony's side, because they're almost there anyway. I mean, the PS3, you can get most games that come out day and date digital. Mm-hmm. Xbox is nowhere near that, but they may jump to that.
I'm pretty confident that they will. I think because Microsoft and Sony have got to both be looking at what Steam has been doing for a long fucking time now,
right?
Where they're everything on PC. You do not buy physical PC games at all anymore. That's just not a thing. You buy it digitally, and you probably buy it on Steam because you're going to be able to get a really good price on Steam. I'd be really shocked if both of them did not look at that and try to sort of like restructure how their stores work to try to, in a way, compete with Steam, because, Valve is looking at has been looking at a while now to try to make a PC that you can just really easily hook up to your TV and just play big picture mode Steam on your TV and just play PC games that way. And I don't know how successful that will be, but Microsoft and Sony would be really fucking dumb if they didn't take that as like serious competition and try to undercut that and like provide what Steam is providing only on a console service.
Right. And the difficulty there will be storage space, because these all next generation games are going to have to be big file sizes. Mm-hmm. And so I think they will have to also have disc options too, just for convenience. And I think also
we're not
to
getting
appease
rid of discs yet.
Yeah.
That's next time around.
Right. So it'll be interesting. So I think these are sort of our wants and desires for a new console. I guess I should say all the digital content you could play on your 360 and PS3, I'd love that to carry over. I think that would be easier for them to do than even just basic backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't because you have been able to just buy full $60 games on both of these consoles for a while now. It'd be pretty fucked up if you could not bring those over to the new console.
Right, and I think I like both of their achievement system. Xbox achievements are good. 360 or PS3 trophies are a pretty cool system.
Yeah.
I don't think that even needs revamping.
Keep the accounts, just carry over onto the next machine. Yeah.
And I think we've also talked about this before. It would be really nice to see Xbox Live go free.
Yeah, I think I would be really, really frustrated if that was not the case, because
I agree. I mean, that's almost one of the things that would make me kind of start to jump ship, because now I'm using PS3 a little more. It is nice that the internet is free, and then if I want to pay extra, I get really cool content. Yeah,
their subscription service PS Plus is gives you good stuff. It's not just you have to pay money to just bring the console to have basic online features.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even use Netflix on your 360 without...
Yeah, without a gold subscription.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. These are all things we're going to have to see. And, I mean, I think there's no way in hell PS3 is going to move to a paid, obviously.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to move to subscription.
Yeah, they're very invested in their current model, which I assume is doing very well for them.
Yeah.
It seems to be.
Yeah, and people really love PlayStation Plus because it's an amazing deal.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, again, Sony or Microsoft has to be looking at that, right?
Yeah.
They have to be cognizant that if they want to be competitive, having you pay $60 a year just to go online is not competitive.
Yeah, and because they've been able to do it now because they were able to get out a year earlier than any other console, and so that was the only option that was available. Is that everyone who signed up for an Xbox 360 and wanted to take it online, they had to fucking buy Xbox Live, and as soon as you're on the service, you're stuck on that service, and you're going to want to stay with it because now all of your friends have it. All of your friends are on there. You have your achievements on there, and you're stuck. But now with the next gen consoles coming out, you have this opportunity to jump ship and say fuck it, PlayStation is free. It's been free online this entire fucking time. I'm going to buy the PlayStation 4.
And while it is true initially that PlayStation had some more online problems because it was not a paid service, that's
now its online functionality is on par with the Xboxes.
Yeah, totally.
If you have PlayStation Plus, they have cloud saves and stuff too. So.
Oh yeah, and much better cloud saving. You get a full gig, you get automatic updates and all these things. It's pretty cool. So in any case, that's that. Those are our wants.
Yeah.
Now, why don't we talk some sort of predictions on what we're expecting to see console by console?
Okay.
Let's start with Xbox here.
Okay, that's the one that's a little harder to pin down because we're farther away from that announcement. But yeah.
But might as well.
Okay, so obviously, I think there is going to be a Kinect 2, and there's going to be somehow either in the box with it or in the Xbox itself, completely integrated with I guess they'd have to have a camera, but I'm assuming there's going to be a next version of Kinect that is fully integrated with the Xbox that comes with every single new Xbox.
I assume this too. Doesn't make me happy, but I assume it. I think it would be. I would be much more interested if they found a way to integrate it into the Xbox itself.
Yeah.
Although that would be kind of tough because then you'd have to put your Xbox in the right position in your home. But we'll definitely see about that. I think I still think they should try to consider that not everyone has space to use Kinect.
Yeah, I don't think they're not going to... I'm not saying they're going to, force developers all of a sudden to make games that have to use Kinect for everything.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Kinect menus are obviously, every game is going to have a Kinect-type menu. Yeah. Every game is probably going to have voice-controlled menus, but... it's still going to have a normal fucking controller.
I'll say this. I'll say this. My favorite thing about the Kinect is the voice functionality. I like that in theory. It doesn't work whatsoever on the current because nothing on the current Kinect works. They
stripped that piece of software completely bare in order to make it affordable.
Oh, it is the worst piece of hardware I've ever bought. I will say that right now. I think it is a travesty. I think it's a complete ripoff to consumers. I think it is one of the most underhanded things any game company has ever put out. I think it's horrible. I mean, I think it's a Virtual Boy level failure to me.
I was just about to make a joke that you've never played the Virtual Boy or the Atari Jaguar CD.
I bet the Virtual Boy is more fun than playing anything on the Kinect.
Doesn't look like it.
I'm just saying.
It looks, I have problems playing fucking Black Ops Declassified. I can only imagine if I actually got my hands on a Virtual Boy. But
here's the thing.
That would be.
I bet the Virtual Boy, its library of 12 games, is probably more than games there are for the Kinect still. They don't make Kinect games at all.
There's Dance Central 3, there's Dance Central 4,
yeah.
There's Gunstringers.
Yeah. Is that Fable Journey, did that ever actually come out?
Yeah, people kind of like that.
Okay.
Anyway, for a Kinect game. But.
In any case, if they can, I assume the Kinect 2 will be much more powerful, more what it was supposed to be originally. And in that case, what I was trying to say about the voice functionality is that if they have a full Siri level voice functionality for your Xbox, that'd be cool. I'd like to have that.
Yeah.
Just talk to your Xbox and I would do stuff. Because now you have
Xbox, get me a Mountain Dew.
Yes, that'd be great. It has a little refrigerator on it,
or it's the Xbox. It's a robot. It's got little tiny legs. It's they just take out that the robot idea that Nintendo had all the way back in the 80s. Just bring it out for the new Xbox.
Yeah,
here we go.
So other expectations for the 720 or whatever they're going to call it. I mean, I guess it's a basic question. Do you think there's any chance they call it the 720?
There's a lot of rumors going around that they might call it the Xbox Infinity, but you would just call it the Xbox could be Xbox and the flipped 8, the Infinity sign. I actually like that idea more. I don't. There's everybody just assumes that it's going to be called the Xbox 720, and
I've never assumed that. I just
but like that's just like everybody fucking calls it that. I guess
Right.
I should say, and I really don't like that name. Like I really hope it's not called the 720 because I think that's dumb.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, Microsoft's just in this weird ass fucking position because they named. I think the Xbox 360 is a cool name. It's weird that it's really cool, but it's cool.
Yeah.
But you can only do it once. You can't all of a sudden.
Right.
You can't like start naming all of your fucking Xboxes off of angles that everybody knows about.
Well, and I've said this before too. The difference between Xbox and other consoles is that even the 360, we just call the Xbox.
Yeah.
No one really goes around saying, I'm playing my Xbox 360 today. It's I'm playing my Xbox.
Or it's either I'm playing my Xbox or I'm playing the 360.
Right. So I think calling it the Xbox Infinity, but putting the emphasis on Xbox
Yeah,
again,
and having the Infinity be a sign. Yeah.
would make more sense. Because then it goes back to just you call it the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes sense.
Though I was always disappointed that, I always had hoped there were all those rumors that Microsoft was going to bring a handheld console out, like around when the 360 got announced. I always hoped that they would, and they'd call it the Xbox 180, because it's like half of what an Xbox 360 is. Just like keep the dumb angle thing going forever.
That'd be awesome.
Then eventually they just start measuring it all in radians. It's like Xbox 2 Pi.
All right, so for optical media, do you assume they will have a Blu-ray disc drive this time around?
Either Blu-ray or it'll at the very least be a proprietary format similar to the Wii U that can do what a Blu-ray does. I don't know if necessarily. I think it will probably have a Blu-ray drive, but I'm not assuming that it definitely will.
I'm just saying the same place because you can't. I mean, Blu-ray is Sony.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
may not want to do that. I still think they would be very, very stupid not to.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be smarter to put just a fucking Blu-ray drive in there.
Well, because, I mean, you can't... I don't think you can make a proprietary format as good as that. I mean, you look at the Wii U, that still maxes out at 20 gigs.
Yeah, it's not as good, but...
And that's you can't...
But Mass Effect 3 still plays on one disc on the Wii U, you know?
Well, but that's a current-gen game.
Yeah.
You're going to have to... I mean, if they're doubling or tripling the internals of these systems, they're going to be doubling or tripling the file sizes it takes to play them. You're going to need a disc that can do at least, 50 gigabytes, and that's a Blu-ray. And I think...
Maybe they'll come out with the X-Ray.
Yeah.
The new disc format.
Or they bring back HD DVD. Like, Microsoft just...
Yeah! Just resurrect that, just bring it out, fucking, we are bringing this back, assholes. HD DVD, it is a thing again. I hope they do that.
Yeah. I do think, I don't assume it, I do predict it will have a Blu-ray disc drive, because one of the things the Xbox 360 has been trying to do for years is be this all-in-one entertainment hub. And leaving out the primary optical media at this time is a little odd. Obviously, they can't do it with the 360, so that hasn't been odd. But it's like, now it would be odd if they leave that out again, because, while a lot of people like to talk about digital downloads and for movies and these kinds of things and streaming, Blu-ray is still a very high seller. It's doing very well in the market, and it is the primary optical format at this time. Mm-hmm. So, it would be nice if people could, I mean, the business theory there is that, you own an Xbox, and you own it because, you have a Blu-ray collection, and then that's your player and things like that.
Yeah, and if you can do everything on your Xbox, there's no reason to buy anything else.
Very good point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, while they would have to pay Sony some money to have their Blu-ray drive in there, they would also be undercutting the PS3, which that was the PS3 sort of primary appeal to non-gamers.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that made people buy PS3 when it came out, was that it's because that was also when Blu-ray was becoming a thing, obviously, so it's you can get a Blu-ray player, and it's by all accounts, the PS3 is one of the best, still is one of the best Blu-ray players out there.
It still is the best. I mean, my retired neighbor has a PS3. He doesn't even know, I think, that he plays games. It's just, that's the Blu-ray player you buy, because it's really good. So
there's the same thing with the PS2 came out with DVDs.
Yeah.
It just played DVDs right out of the fucking box. So everybody bought it because you could buy it for as much or less money as a DVD player back when DVD players were still really expensive, but then it could also play video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that. Controller. I have no idea where they're going with the controller. So I think... Do you think they will make any radical changes?
I really don't know. I think they might, but I don't even know quite what they would do. This is easier to talk about with Sony because we've seen what is basically confirmed to be a prototype of what is going to be the PS4 controller.
Yeah.
And that has a touchpad, and I don't know if the Xbox 360 or Infinity or whatever would have a touchpad on its controller too. Microsoft is trying to do that Surface thing that seems like it's not working at all.
No.
So I really have no idea. just love it if they just didn't fuck with the controller, because that controller is, I think, the perfect controller. That's the controller I use to play PC games. Obviously, that is the main reason why I play Xbox games, is because I like that controller way more than I like the PlayStation 3 one just fine, but it's not as good as the Xbox One.
It's the best controller ever.
Yeah.
It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Here's my prediction. I do not feel qualified to predict what the controller will be for the next Xbox, because I have just no idea what they're even going for. I really hope it's not something gimmicky. I feel like it probably will be, because I just think Xbox is moving away from the hardcore market to a certain degree.
But, one of the reasons why I'm inclined to say that they're not going to mess with the normal controller all that much is because if they do have a built-in Kinect, they've got their gimmicky thing there already.
That's a good point.
It's just like, I don't know what you would do with having a Kinect and also having a touchscreen or something like that.
Right.
Like, they've got this other horse in the game where, as much as basically anyone who's actually played video games and has played a Kinect hates the fucking Kinect because it doesn't work, the Kinect sold really fucking well.
Yeah.
The Kinect outsold the Move. It's like, it's the Kinect, this would be a piece of shit of hardware it is. People
Everyone
like the idea.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems really cool conceptually. I think if the technology was there, it would be really cool.
But anyway, here is the prediction I am going to make.
Okay.
I do not think 360 controllers will work on the next Xbox.
Probably won't.
I think the main thing is that,
if it didn't.
and I think the main thing there is that they use a proprietary wireless thing for theirs, and I think they're either going to move to Bluetooth or something else.
That's a good point.
I do not expect at all that the controllers will work, because that's just kind of a thing that they make a lot of money selling you those extra controllers.
Yeah.
I kind of always, one thing I've kind of liked about my 360 is that when we got it, we got our controllers with it used, and we just got on eBay, someone had a lot of 4 controllers, so I've always had 4 controllers for it and loved that. I'd hate to rebuy them, but if I had to, I'm so used to having the 4 controllers, I'd probably at least get a second or a third.
Yeah.
And so, but that would be a lot of money in their pockets if people are doing that. So,
miss the days when you could fucking plug a Sega Genesis controller into an Atari 2600 and it would work.
Yeah.
Like, where did those days go? Where it's just like, this makes no sense that this can happen, but it fucking happens.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I would like just stuff to work on the next Xbox. Yeah. I'm not predicting that.
Yeah. But it's like, it's also, if they don't put something new on there, like, what would they even do to change that controller? Like, it was pretty obvious that the Xbox One controller could not be the same thing coming out again.
Right.
So do you think it's just going to... I guess, the PlayStation has just been basically putting out the same controller since they put analog sticks on the DualShock.
Yeah, I think it's possible we'll get a very similar to identical controller, sort of like DualShock 2 to DualShock 3, where there's just some minor cosmetic differences. And I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think the previous controllers are going to work with it.
Hopefully it has a better D-pad.
I think they'll probably do... Hope. Yeah, they'll either do the transformable one they've had in recent years, or something even better than that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I noticed even on the PlayStation 4 prototype controller, they've altered the D-pad a little bit.
Yeah.
So, part of that is that Nintendo's long-standing patent on the sort of classic D-pad, which is the best one no one else has ever been able to use, is running out. So,
thank God.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday soon that weird-ass patent that Namco Bandai has on mini-games you can play during loading screens, that'll go away too, so I can play mini-games on loading screens that are not Dragon Ball Z games.
Yeah.
Like, one day. Though, I have to say, about, really good fucking D-pads, I think the PS Vita has the best D-pad I've ever used.
I actually agree with that 100%.
That fucking D-pad is amazing.
It is. I don't even know I can't even describe what makes it so good. It's a great D-pad.
Yeah, I think it's better than the Nintendo ones.
I agree. I completely agree. And it looks like that's what they've got on the next PlayStation controller. We don't have any good pictures of that controller yet, like close up, but... and I've always liked the D-pad on the PlayStation controller too. It's fine.
I like it okay. It's like
I'm just saying
there's something weird about it works really well on the PS Vita because all the buttons on the D-pad are really, really close together.
Right.
But on the PlayStation controllers, I've always disliked is it's like the D-pad is buried under the controller.
It is.
And it's just like, I don't know.
I'm saying there's room to improve. I've just liked it. It's certainly better than the 360 one.
Yeah, no, that's without a doubt.
That's one area where I do think if they're looking for improvements, that's where they might change it on the 360. So I guess the last thing we could predict for this is on the technical aspect, how much stronger do you think they will make the next Xbox compared to the current one?
I'm not a person that's really qualified to talk about that. I don't know, the names of all the high-end graphics cards or shit like that nowadays. I think it's going to be substantially more powerful. It's not going to be as powerful as the most powerful PCs are right now. That's never going to happen. But it's going to be a lot better. These consoles have been around for 7 years. I think something that's interesting that has also been a rumor for Sony that I'm curious whether Microsoft or if Sony's even doing it is having more features sort of system-wide for all the games, sort of taking a lot of the ideas that what made achievements work really well and bringing that to a lot of other things, having similar theater type saved films and replays, and making that just a system-wide thing that just the OS for the next Xbox or PlayStation can do. I think they'll probably look into doing a lot of stuff like that also. Yeah,
I think that's very likely on the PlayStation side. I don't expect to see some of that user-controlled videos and screenshots on the Xbox side, because while Xbox is a Microsoft console and we associate Microsoft with PCs, the Xbox has steadily been more I would say an Apple product, where they kind of take all those kinds of things out of users' hands.
Well, to be fair, same thing with Sony. Both of those, Sony is not going that direction as quickly, but every company is going in that direction. Open platforms are not a big thing anymore, other than right now on PC. A lot of PC developers are trying to fight that and get everybody to use Linux. That I don't think is ever going to happen, because everyone's kind of scared that Microsoft is going to jump in with Windows 8 and try to control the PC format. But but I think I think both of the companies are going to do something like that. Because it just seems like it would be a weird, because they certainly would have the capabilities at that point, and I think it would be a cool feature that's have build out the system itself that make all these games are not completely isolated. Back on the Xbox One, there was never, you didn't have this thing that is I have this account that's I get these achievements, or I have this avatar or something that goes across all these games. Where now with these systems, it's I go to the system and the games are all part of this big web I have, where it's I can go check my fucking achievements for Halo 3 and all my Halo games. It's I have all these little knickknacks I can put on my avatar. It's everything is attached to this profile and all my games are connected in that way. And I think they would definitely want to expand out that functionality and make, because what both Sony and Microsoft, mostly Microsoft, have been trying to do for a really long time is make these things media hubs. And they've been pretty successful, bringing Netflix to Xbox. When they did that was a huge thing, just because that was when the Netflix streaming service was becoming big. Everybody already had an Xbox, and now all of a sudden you have this whole new feature to it, where people started getting Xboxes the same way people got PS2s, where it's this is my Netflix machine. I watch Netflix on there. Now it's got Hulu Plus, it's got Amazon Instant Video, it's got YouTube, it's all those apps. Yeah, exactly. They have all these streaming apps on there. And I think they would want to expand out that idea that this is this hub that you connect to, and the hub itself has these features that you can take advantage of that other things would not. I don't know exactly what the specifics of those features would be, but I definitely think they're going to be there. And I think a simple one would be stuff like screenshots, stuff like recording videos, sharing videos, that kind of thing.
I agree. I think that would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe PlayStation will try to bring out Home, and remember the PlayStation Home, that's still people use it and it makes money on microtransactions, but try to bring out a Facebook-y social interface, this is where all you go, this is where your tweet shit is, and build that more into the machine so you don't have to go to an app and just fully complete this promise of this is a one-stop shop for all your media type shit that is in your living room. And they can actually do it now because they can do it from the ground instead of having to do it all with firmware updates, because that's when streaming became a thing.
Right. Well, that'll definitely be interesting. So is there anything else to predict about the Xbox?
Not really. I don't think so.
Do you think there's any chance they just call it the Next Box?
No. Okay. I hope they call it the Xbox 720. But this, that's... Or, I want them to call it the Xbox 3. Fuck it. I just want them to just, pull a Mario Kart 8. It's just this is the third Xbox we've made. It is the Xbox 3. We're not fucking with the names anymore. I mean, they're obviously not going to do that because, it would be the PlayStation 4, and people would be oh, why would I get a 3 when I can get a 4?
That's a good point. It's an odd point, but it's definitely true.
I mean, I think that's probably why they called it the Xbox 360. That's why they did not just go to an Xbox 2, because PlayStation was already on 3, and they're well, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get a huge leg up, 360.
Any chance they call it the Xbox 361?
So, like, there's somebody in Microsoft who has been trying to get that that. He's been trying to get that so hard. He's just, like, he, like, knocks on Bill Gates' office, like, every single day. It's just like, 361! Come on, it's fucking hilarious! Everybody will love it!
That would be kind of great. It looks identical, all these things, it's just got a 1. That's it. So anyway, that's the Xbox. So PS4, it's a lot easier to predict what we're going to see out of the PS4.
Because we're like a week away from that announcement. So.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, and there's just little things like we don't have to guess the optical drive. It'll be Blu-ray. Exactly. Unless they just take out discs altogether, which they're not going to do.
Yeah.
It'll have Blu-ray. We kind of know what the controller will look like. I'm 99.9% positive the current controllers will work because they're Bluetooth, and there's not a new kind of wireless thing like that, so it would be very weird if they didn't.
Yeah, although, let's just start talking about that controller now, because that is the most concrete thing we have. That a couple of days ago, there were leaked some pictures of who they claimed it to be. This is a prototype of the PlayStation 4 controller, and then it seems like, that got picked up by a bunch of different websites. And it seems like it's basically been confirmed that that is what the prototype of the PlayStation 4 controller looks like, and so it looks legitimate. It looks like exactly kind of what I would expect. And it basically looks like a DualShock, but the big thing on it is there is what looks like basically what is the rear touchpad on the Vita, only on the face of the controller, kind of in the middle where like the start and select buttons traditionally would have been on a DualShock. Yeah, and I actually like that idea, I think. Yeah. I think that could be good, because I really like the idea of the back touchpad on the Vita, because it doesn't get in your way at all, but if people want to use it, like developers and then, game companies and things, if they want to do something like that, you can, and it's really easy. And it can be very advantageous. I think one of the biggest things I think that this would do, because I don't know how easy it would be to integrate that into a video game, like what you would do with it. But it seems like that would make navigating menus, like really particularly easy. Store interfaces, that would be a lot easier on that, because that is one of the biggest hurdles of like these consoles, is that you're trying to navigate these really complex interfaces that have all this stuff on it, like these store interfaces that you just can't navigate well with a controller. Like, the Sony store is better than the Xbox store, but it's still not great. Like, it's kind of as best as you can do with a normal controller, but it's still clunky, it's still frustrating to use at times. It's like Xbox went in this, like, really weird direction where they just, like, hit everything under submenus after submenu to try to get it down to this, like, manageable number of options at some point. And so, I think that would be the biggest advantage of this touchpad, is I can just see this, like, that would make... you just have a fucking cursor on screen and navigate it with a touchpad, assuming the touchpad is responsive enough. Yeah. And it also looks like... I've been kind of describing this to people when I tell them about it as sort of the traditional PlayStation controller, a little bit by way of Xbox. It's a little bulkier. It looks like it's even more sort of suited to your hands than the current... Yeah, it looks like the grips on the controller are sort of curved down in similar ways. They're a little thicker. Looks like, you can't really see it in the picture that leaked, but I think there are actual triggers on the back of that. Hopefully. That is one of the most bizarre things about the PlayStation 3 controller, is that it's got, like, triggers that are not triggers. They're like, they took the, like, R2 buttons from the PlayStation 2 controller, just made them a little bigger, and kind of have this, like, degree of sensitivity as you push them, but... it's super awkward. Yeah, the traditional face buttons look like they're identical. Yeah, you got X, circle, triangle, square. We would never want them to get rid of those, because that's what PlayStation is, damn it. It does look like it has a little speaker on it, or microphone, probably both. And the D-pad looks more like the Vita D-pad. Yeah, and then also, notably for me, the analog sticks have little divots on them. That is the thing about the PlayStation controller I don't like. I don't like their analog sticks, because... my hands, like thumbs just slip off of them because they don't have divots. So well, then I think I do think this looks like a real improvement, and that's cool. I like that they have not gotten rid of what we think of as the PlayStation controller, because there's no reason to just redo it from the ground up. But they've definitely, I think that will be an improvement. So. Yeah, and it's a little bit wider to accommodate that touchscreen. So hopefully, my dream of being able to look right and turn left and not have my thumbs touch will be a reality on the PlayStation console. Yeah. So we know what the controller will look like. And it looks like how it's being charged is the same way as the other ones. It'll just be USB to mini USB. Yeah. So you'll probably be able to use whatever cords you have existing. I assume that the DualShock 3 will still work because it's all Bluetooth.
and the remotes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's actually the interesting thing about this controller. While it has the touchpad, I think it looks like you would still be able to play games with your normal one because it's not going to be so integral to how you control it.
Probably, yeah, because that position of that touchscreen is such that if you're in the middle of a really hectic, intense game, you're not going to be able to move your thumb over and fiddle with that. It looks like you basically have to take your thumb off of one of the grips to be able to do anything meaningful with that touchpad.
Yeah. So I think we've got that. We're able to pretty reasonably predict that one.
Yeah.
So what else? I mean, I think their firmware, I imagine it will stay pretty much the same. The cross-media bar, probably an evolution of it a little bit.
Probably. It'll be interesting, because I don't even remember, because, before, the PS2 and Xbox era, obviously those consoles had, this home interface, but it was nothing notable because there's no online interactivity. I don't even remember what the PS2s looked like.
Well, you couldn't access it unless you had no disc in the tray.
Same thing with the Xbox One.
Yeah, and it had the 4 options, your memory card, settings, parental controls. Mm-hmm. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting because we don't have any sort of tradition of what a new console interface will look like when you have this online functionality where the home interface is extremely important how you interact with the console.
Yeah. Well, and they use the cross-media bar on all of their Sony products now. I have another Sony Blu-ray player back at my parents' house that I bought for $50, but that one also uses a version of the cross-media bar, and I like it a lot. I think it works pretty well. It's highly, highly customizable. My PS3, I haven't done anything to it, but if I wanted to, I could have any custom wallpaper, play custom music over it, all these sorts of things, and I assume they will go in that direction still.
Yeah, probably. I don't quite know if I'm not super confident that they're going to have the cross media bar. I think part of it is they're going to want it to at least look different, so it looks fancy and new and next gen-y. I mean, it'll probably have something similar, but I have absolutely no idea what their OS or interface will look like.
That's true. I hope they don't go the Xbox route and have it be just an ad delivery machine with one or two game options.
I don't think that's the case.
I fucking hate that Xbox interface. Anyway. Let's see. So, I think this is the interesting thing about the PS4. So, besides the controller, which we pretty much know, the really only thing to predict is the internals, and we assume it'll be very powerful.
Yeah, but it's just it's just going to be a more powerful gaming rig.
Yeah,
it's there's not something the only thing notable to talk about on that side is when we know what the games are going to be like and how they take advantage of the new technology. You
don't think they're going to do anything more with the Move or anything? They're pretty much done with that, or
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know, as I know the Move did really well in Europe, but I think that's basically it. It didn't necessarily catch on, so I don't know if if they are out of the weird growing pains of we keep on wanting to have these really gimmicky type things. Remember the fucking iToy?
Yeah,
that was dumb. But yeah, just talk about fucking in a lot of ways the iToy was basically an even shittier version of the Kinect. But yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily immediately rule out that there's going to be some type of Move thing.
But I don't think it will be integral in the way the Kinect is.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily going to be this pack in, here we go, this is the new wave of how you interact with gaming. Because I don't think the Move panned out well enough for them to be able to take that leap on it.
Here's a good question. Do you think they will use this opportunity to sort of reinvigorate the PlayStation Vita and tie it in more directly with...
I really hope so. I think they would be making a huge mistake if they didn't. And I think they will, because Sony has recently been talking a lot about how they want to support the Vita more, and they recognize they've made a mistake in not being out there, giving a lot of support to the Vita, pushing to get, third-party developers to make games on the Vita, because the Vita is an extremely powerful machine. It's just that there's not a lot of really, really good games on it yet, because and Sony's not advertising it the way it needs to be advertised. And so I think this is, their prime opportunity to take advantage of that. I don't know, quite how extensive the functionality is going to be between the Vita and the PS4. But I definitely expect the Vita is going to be a part of this announcement. They're going to talk about Vita shit there.
That's definitely a prediction of mine. I think all the Vita functionality we have between it and the PS3 currently, which is a lot. You can stream your PS3 to the Vita. You can back up your Vita to the PS3. All that will hold over. I would be interested, what if they even went somewhere you could stream your Vita screen to the PS3, so the other way? I think that's a possibility.
I think that's a possibility, too, because that is something they could definitely do.
Yeah. And I think there could be games that interact. I mean, they're pushing this cross-buy thing. Well, what if they go even further, sort of like in a Wii U direction? Mm-hmm. And I mean, really, like, this is sort of like the Wii U makes this big point of the gamepad where you can play your games on the screen and not use the Wii U and the TV. Well, the Vita is an actual console, so what if you could take your PS3 game and just have it on your Vita, carry it around? They're experimenting with that on the cross-buy stuff.
Yeah, and you know, would the Vita then be able to just work as another controller for your PS4?
Right.
It certainly seems like it would have that capability as well.
I think they're definitely going to do that because it has. I mean, it's built to do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have an R2 and an R3, but that's what the rear touchpad and the front touchpad are for.
Yeah.
So it's more than capable of doing all that. So we shall see. I think there's a lot of interesting possibilities here. Anything else to say about the PS4?
I don't think so. It's like that one is definitely. I'm definitely really curious to see like what extent of like the stuff they're actually going to announce. Because, you know, like, the initial announcement of consoles tends not to be a whole lot other than, this is the PS4, this is what the console looks like, this is, like, what the controller looks like, and there may be a video of, like, this is, if we ever, like, remember when the PS3 got launched and they're like, this is what Final Fantasy VII would look like if we ever actually made it, like, a remake of Final Fantasy VII on this hardware. And they did, like, the opening cutscene where it's, like, Cloud goes to Midgard or whatever. It's like, there probably will be a similar video. Hopefully it's the exact same thing. I hope they take that same fucking cutscene and be like, this is what it would look like if we ever decided to make a Final Fantasy VII on this fucking hardware. And all you people who love Final Fantasy so much, like, are, like, one of our most dedicated fan bases, fuck you guys.
You want to touch on that a little bit? How weird it is they never did their Final Fantasy VII HD remake?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we talked about this before when I had my brief flirtation with Final Fantasy VII on the PS3.
Yeah.
We remembered that it was a PS1 game, and that's what PS1 games were like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just like a weird thing where that tech demo came out, and it was like, you know, Sony was pretty clear that it was a tech demo, but everyone was like, oh my god, like, there's going to be Final Fantasy VII on the PS3. Which would be, it would just be weird if, like, your big seller for your system was a remake of a game that sold on, like, 2 iterations of consoles ago.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking... There's no way that was, like, their big selling point, but it was like, you know, they just used all the hype and the love around Final Fantasy VII to be like, man, if we made this game you all love now, look how awesome it would, like, even more awesome it would be, but we're not going to do that because we're making other games. And everyone was like, well, fuck. But, you know... Sony does have a lot of sort of like bags that they can open up of like games that have been in development for fucking ever. That is like if they pull out Kingdom Hearts 3 and we're like, we are making it. It is actually being made. Everybody who loves Kingdom Hearts so much has been waiting since like 2004.
Yeah,
was when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out.
I'm gonna look this up, but it's
like all of you people who have bought every single handheld console and like Japanese cell phone under the sun in order to play all of our spin-off Kingdom Hearts games. Here's Kingdom Hearts 3. There's also that one game that got announced for the PlayStation 3. I want to say, like... Wait, what?
Final Fantasy Versus 13?
So, there's Final Fantasy Versus 13. That one's been in development since Final Fantasy 13 got announced.
Kingdom Hearts 2 was 2005.
Oh.
We're almost... I mean, it'll be 10 years before 3 comes out.
Yeah, Jesus.
And actually, Final Fantasy Versus 13 is the reason we will probably not hear anything about Kingdom Hearts 3 unless they've just taken it to another developer. Because it's the Versus 13 team is the Kingdom Hearts team.
Yeah.
I do kind of assume, though, if Sony is smart, they would just say, you guys are fucking idiots, we're going to take it, and we're just going to let someone else make it.
It's like, will you fuckers just make a game already, for God's sakes? But then they also have that one game, The Last Guardian, that they announced.
Yeah.
That was forever ago. I want to say that was in 2006 or 2007, that game, it was like some kid, and he's got like this big dragony type dude that he was like hanging out with, and the thing looked amazing, and just like, it's like vaporware now, and they keep on saying, like, it was just like a month ago they said they were still making it. I think it would be pretty incredible if Sony just came out and was like, remember that game we announced basically when the PlayStation 3 was launching? We're actually going to make it, and it's going to be on the PlayStation 4. Like, I think...
Yeah, it'd be a smart thing to do.
Yeah. Or, personally for me, what would assure that I would buy a PlayStation 4 is if, like, somehow they're like, Persona 5. Persona 5 is going to be on there. And it's like, I'm sold. There's no way that's going to happen because Persona 5 is probably going to be on the PS3 and probably the 360 as well. But if that was there, it's like, well, fuck, I have to buy the console now.
Well, I mean, if they could just announce they had an exclusive thing with Atlas for the next Persona,
Yeah.
and they didn't even go into specifics, that would get a lot of people buying their system.
Yeah, because, Persona is not necessarily over here like a series that sells, not everybody buys into it, but as
In
the
Japan.
in Japan it's huge. But then over here, the second you buy into it, you're into it for life.
Yes.
Everybody who's played a Persona game will then play the next Persona game, and they'll continue on like that for eternity.
And in Japan, they just have orgasms in the street for Persona. Just everyone.
Persona is the type of game they sell in Japan on Sundays, because if they sold it on a weekday, nobody would go to school or work, and Japan's economy would take a hit. That's actually a thing. That's why Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out on a Sunday, because of that. Dragon Quest games do that too.
Japan is awesome. That is so great.
Well, yeah, it's it's weird because America is such a big country that it's when you think about the relatively small size of Japan in comparison to the entire United States, it's if something huge comes out over there like that, it legitimately their economy legitimately takes a hit because not enough people go to work or go to school. It's well, shit. Nobody's fucking running the cash registers at the grocery stores.
All right. So I don't think we have any other major predictions to make. Is there anything else we want to say sort of before we wrap up this discussion about the next generation?
Just that I am really, really excited that finally there's something new going on with video games.
Me too.
Yeah, we've been stuck in this cycle for so long that it's the most significant game I've played this year is a game that came out on the PS2. That it's that's how stale that the technology has become, that I don't care about the technological side almost at all anymore, because it's I've seen it. We've kind of reached the limits of what this hardware can do, so I went back to PS2 hardware. Yeah, exactly.
And I guess here's a big question that we could ask here. Are you looking to stick with Xbox, which has been your main console for a long time, or are you interested in seeing what PS4 has to offer and maybe moving over?
I mean, I'm completely non-committal at this point.
Okay.
I have no dedication to Microsoft or Sony. I have a PS Vita, and the 360 has been my primary gaming platform since it came out. Similar with the Xbox was when I got that machine as well. But yeah, honestly, I'm still even just keeping my options open, looking at what Valve is really doing with their Steam box, trying to have an accessible, affordable PC you can hook up to your TV without a lot of hassle. If that is an affordable thing for me, that will probably be what I would actually invest in. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It looked like I need to wait for honestly, the most important thing for me is really the exclusives.
Yeah.
I do have, I want to play the next Halo game, but obviously the Halo 5 is not going to come out with the next Xbox. That'd be way too soon.
Right.
So I would definitely wait and see on that, but yeah, I definitely am not just committed onto either side at all.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I think it's an interesting case because I'm going to have to get a next Xbox at some point because I love Halo. There's my favorite ongoing series, and I'll have to play it.
Yeah.
But, other than that, every game I play will come out for both, and some of the games I really love, I do assume Persona 5 will be a PS3 or PS4 kind of thing.
Well,
although it could
you forget Persona 4 Arena was a cross-platform title.
You're right.
Atlas is not necessarily completely exclusively Sony anymore.
That's true. Okay, I did not think about that, but we'll see. But I have invested more in Sony in recent months with my Vita and my PlayStation Plus, and I really like what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I need to see what Xbox is going to offer and what PS4 is going to offer, but I'm definitely considering jumping ship and moving to Sony for this generation.
It's both of them have Microsoft recently has made enough mistakes in how they've been designing things that I don't necessarily have enough faith in them that I'm just immediately going to jump on board with them. And Sony has picked up their game so much from when the PS3 initially launched that I would definitely be fine with going on to the PlayStation side. The PlayStation Vita is the first PlayStation console I've actually owned, which is a weird thought for me because I've played a shit ton of PlayStation 2 games because everybody I knew had PlayStation 2s. But if the PlayStation 4 carries keeps on going on the trajectory that Sony has been going, and if Microsoft their next console indicates that they have not figured out that they need to kind of turn around from what they've been doing since they came out with the Kinect, I will probably have to go with Sony. Yeah,
and I think I'm in the same boat. So again, I just want to collect info first.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to pre-order anything. I'm waiting around to see what's going to happen with this.
Yeah, but I'm excited for February 20th and hearing sort of the first round of this. I think I hope Sony, and I think this is one thing that I do think we'll hear, is if they've set up this whole conference and everything, and they're doing this on their own terms, I think we'll hear a little more than just like what the console looks like in controller. I assume they've got something else in their pocket. They've got to have some kind of like...
There's going to be some really cool video. Like there's going to be some kick-ass, like this is what this hardware can do. Like I said, like it's probably not going to be an actual game. It's probably going to be a tech demo, but it's going to be a really cool looking tech demo. Like that's my theory for what the big showpiece is going to be.
Right. And I guess here's another interesting question. PlayStation and Sony have always had a lead over everyone else on the technological side in terms of graphics quality. Do you think that because now Xbox will probably have a Blu-ray disc drive, they'll pump up all their specs, do you think that gap will be closed?
Yeah, I think so. I think the PlayStation 4 and next Xbox are going to have comparable specs.
That's what I was thinking too. So yeah. And because they will also be launching at the same time for the first time. Other than that, they've always been a little offset.
Yeah, they're both going to be 1080p. It's like nobody's ready to take like a jump to this is like 4K gaming or something like that.
No TVs that can do it commercially. So
so I think like I don't think there's like enough of the extra stuff that they really can do that they're going to want to push that technology gap, because it's also, you have to remember that the economy right now is in a very different place than it was when the 360 and the PS3 launched, where and it was like really unfortunate for the PS3 that shit really was going down. The PS3 got announced and it was like $600 and $500 for their SKUs. And it's like that was way too much money when compared to the 360 was $400.
Yeah.
So, like I don't think they're going to want to like really push the technology so hard that they're going to try to like make the machine unaffordable.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's another question we could ask is, do you have any predictions on price yet, or is that too early?
I mean, I think it's definitely too early because I think,
agree.
They're not even going to announce the price at this announcement.
Of course not,
It's going to be very reactionary to, like, both of them are going to want to look and, like, wait and see what the other dude is pricing, because that's kind of, like, the most important thing in selling your machine, really. But, like, my hope is that it sticks around the $400 price range. It might creep up a little higher than that. I mean, it's... Yeah, I think that's what I'm expecting, like $400 to $500, like maybe $500 for like the premium SKU would be the highest,
but no higher than that.
Yeah, I would be pretty surprised if they were pushing like $600 to $700. That like, because especially again, Valve is getting in that market, and that's going to be like probably be the most cost prohibitive thing. Is that like those PCs I'm expecting are going to be, even though they will be more affordable than like building your own normal gaming PC, probably still going to be a lot more expensive than the consoles, and they're not going to want to push into that price range of like $700 to $800.
Right. So it's an interesting time, and it's an exciting time.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's been so long.
I know.
I barely remember what a fucking console launch is like.
Well, I mean, I wanted to ask you if you've had kind of this feeling like just getting the PlayStation Vita and having something new like that is kind of exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because it's just been... And part of that is just also... Like, the last handheld console I owned was the Nintendo DS, and even then, at a certain point, I mostly just played that for the Game Boy Advance games. Like, I didn't get a lot of DS games, so it's like, it being a handheld and being as powerful as it is just really fucking cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun getting a new toy like that. Getting something new to play with. And
something that really pushes the limits of what it can do.
Yeah.
So, alright, so I think that's the end of that discussion. As for the podcast in the future... next week, I assume the majority of our podcast will just be talking about the PS4 announcement. I think there will probably be enough. But we may...
Probably.
And there will probably be some other news to talk about, the things that will happen in between then and there. There always are, like this week, Destiny and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So we'll probably have another sort of shortish kind of podcast, by our standards. I would not expect any 3-hour podcasts in the immediate future. I don't think there's anything warranting that. We have some episodes in our back pocket we're kind of thinking about recording. Sean and I are both getting close to finishing Persona 4 Golden for the Vita, and we would love to do an episode reviewing that. And when we do that, we'll just let you know in advance. That will be a very long episode.
Yeah.
Probably a multi-part that we'll all put out on the same day.
Yeah.
It's
going to be a special podcast because, Persona 4 is a long game, and there's a lot to talk about with it. And it's just like, and it's also just... that is all we have been talking about when we're not on the podcast, is basically us playing Persona 4.
Yeah, so we want to do a podcast about that, and we'll definitely try to keep in mind that is not something that obviously everyone plays, so we will, we'll have something else to compensate with that either the week before or after. It'll only be a 1-week thing. Even if we have to record multiple podcasts for it, they'll come out on one day. We won't jiff you.
Yeah.
But, I think moving into March there will be more stuff to talk about. Obviously, we have not had many big things going on in the world of entertainment in these months. But
we're starting to get into the movie season again, so we'll be able to watch, like the new Marvel movies and stuff like that.
Yep.
At some point.
Do some
like Bioshock Infinite's coming out in March. So
that's a good point. And
on that.
Next week is the Oscars. I do not think we will talk about that on next week's podcast, but I should
probably won't, because I'm not going to know.
No, you're not going to know anything
with that.
Well, what I was going to say is they happen Sunday night. We record these on Sunday afternoon, and so we will probably record next week's podcast before the Oscars even happen. So if you were wondering, we will not talk about that.
Yeah, we're just personally not interested in award shows particularly. Like, you have to be kind of for your job, but I have no interest in movie award shows or any award shows of any kind.
Yeah, I don't like them. I will probably be live blogging the Oscars for We Got This Covered. If you want, Sunday night, I will be snarky and making fun of them. Yeah. Because that's the only way to really watch them.
That's what everybody does with the Oscars. That's not actually at the Oscars. They're just snarky and make fun of them. It's like the same thing you do when there's the Super Bowl halftime is on. Yeah. Just like you make fun of how Fergie looks or something.
Right. So anyway, we will see you all next week talking PlayStation 4.
Again. Or with actual stuff that we know about. For sure this time, hopefully.
Yes. Including the name, PlayStation Infinite. Wouldn't that be great if they try to jump on Xbox?
Yeah, it's just like a PS and then the inverted 8. It's like, fuck you, Xbox. And the Xbox is like, fuck you, Xbox 4. That's it. It's like, we're just flipping it. Fuck you guys.
PlayStation 720.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Xbox U.
God, Xbox U. That's a terrifying proposition.
It'll just be great because the Halo U will come out. It's like fucking like Halo 5 U.
I'm going to go shoot myself now.